What's up guys, welcome back to the vlogs. We're doing another day with the Supra today. We are in quarantine right now. We're on like about a month into quarantine. It's getting a little bit lonely in the shop. We are here by ourselves. I can't remember the last time I did anything with Calvin and cars. Kind of wanted to give you guys a brief little update on how things are going here because I was getting a couple questions and I kind of realized the other day I've never given you guys any updates or talked to you guys how it is here or anything like that. So I thought we should take this opportunity just to catch up. I've been trying to do my best to do daily vlogs, but it's been kind of rough just because when it comes to putting things on cars and working on cars, a lot of parts and stuff are kind of hard to get right now. A while ago, I told you guys that I was gonna be looking at a new car to get, and I don't wanna say what video that was as it will give it away, but I think I found a certain car that I wanna pick up that I simply wanna get right now out of boredom and because I've always wanted it, and it's not relatively the most expensive car. It's cheap relative to what we've been doing lately, so I think I'm gonna get it, so I'm excited about that, so we'll see if that comes later this week. But we've really been focusing on keeping our distance and really practicing social distancing. I know you guys see me at the shop every single day and running around, but I want to make it known that I'm doing every precaution that I can to stay safe and not to get in contact with anyone unless I absolutely have to, and really just been enjoying the time of catching up on everything. As you guys have seen, we've done a lot of stuff on the BRZ, we've done a lot of stuff on this car and that RX-7.
Sorry, I can't search the web here.
And that RX-7, you guys are always asking me to work on it, but that's actually going to be going to another local shop in San Diego to help do some prototyping and get some extra body work done for our Street Hunter fenders that we've just been so behind right now, it's hard to catch up on it, but that car is about to leave. A lot of these cars have ongoing projects, and that's kind of just the way it goes with Street Hunter and stuff, and the C8 is about to go into scanning and stuff, so we can get started on that Street Hunter stuff. I just want to keep you guys updated and let you know that I am healthy, I am staying safe, and I hope that you guys are the same. We have some updates with Hunt Company coming up very soon that I'll keep you guys updated a little bit later in the week, but just wanted to check in, say hello a little bit. It's a little bit lonely here, but I'm surviving, and we have a new install today, so let's go show that. These pieces are pretty much the add-on for the front splitter that we put on the Supra, and I gotta be honest, I was a little bit on the fence about doing these because it's kind of a full send type of move, and I'll explain that when we get to it. But here it is. I already unwrapped one of them because I got a little bit antsy, and this is completely just I guess side arrow. It does nothing functionally. It's all just cosmetic, and it's essentially the same thing that I have here on the BRZ. This is the Pandem kit, and the Pandem 3.5 kit had this extra arrow that went on the car that is essentially like a side skirt arrow, a side skirt canard. Not sure what you'd want to call it, but it's just an extra little flare on the side behind the front tire. And that's exactly what this will do. It's just an extra arrow that gives the car just a little bit more of an aggressive look. Prop you guys up on this table. So you can kind of see there's a radius to the inside of this piece, and that is supposed to line up on the inside of the wheel well, I think. I haven't seen any other people install this on YouTube, but from the pictures that I've seen on other cars, it looks like people line it up on the inside of this radius. You could back it up here, but that just looks funky, so it's definitely supposed to sit right here. It pretty much just mounts on the car, and we're gonna have to drill into the fenders to do this. And that's kind of why I said it was a little bit of a full send, because this is essentially like cutting your fenders. I mean, once you do it, there's no going back. I mean, I guess you could 3M tape this, but that's pretty weak. I don't know why you would ever 3M tape this, but we need to actually drill through these fenders, put big holes in them, and bolt this to the car. So once you do this mod, there's really no going back, but I feel it will look good. Now, I will argue, and I think some of you might be thinking this to yourself, it's a lot of front arrow on the front of the car, and there's not much on the back. But the thing is there's really not too much arrow that you can do in the back other than what we already have. We already have the rear diffuser, and we have the wing, and we have the more aggressive side skirts to add just a little bit more width in the rear. So it looks kind of front heavy at times, but I do think it looks much better. I'm gonna repeat that. This already looks phenomenal, but I think the extra little vent there just gives it a little bit more spice, and I want a little bit more spice right now. So without farther ado, let's mock this thing up. So to start, I taped it up on the side of the car just to make sure it was where I wanted it to be. I have it positioned so it follows the radius of the wheel. I think if I go any farther in, it will look too unnatural. And if I push any farther, wow, this chair is so loud. And if I push any farther to the right, you're gonna actually see a lot of the plastic on the inside of the wheel well, which I think looks a little bit gross. So I think it's best if it's covered just a little bit, and the drill point hole won't interfere with anything here. So I also wanna point out that it doesn't go too far underneath the side skirt. So when I actually drill these in and just mount them to the side skirt, it's not gonna interfere with swinging in any arms or jack points. It doesn't hang any lower. It's a cool little thing I'm pretty hyped about. I was a little bit worried if it was gonna hang low or go too deep and just crack and stuff if I put it on the lift, and it shouldn't. Looks pretty easy. So I'm putting this piece of tape, again, like I said, is to line up where it should be on the outside, just to give myself an extra line to follow. That looks good. Take that puppy off. And these pieces come with little holes right here. I'm sorry, it's not focusing very well at the moment, but you can see them right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make sure that was the correct. Honestly, see if I can bore it out. I might need to go a little bit bigger. Looks like we're gonna need to size up one more on that drill bit. Got it right back where we wanted. This is one of my favorite tools. It's pretty much just like a little punch, and what it helps do is it helps mark the holes, and it also creates a center punch so that when you put a drill bit on it, it doesn't walk away. So this is where we want it. Gonna clear a little hole here. Everyone, let's F for respects in the comments down below. Take a moment of silence because once we punch these fenders, there's no going back. They are damaged. 1, 2, 3. Oh! Ouch, that hurts just a little bit, boys. 1, 2, 3. Oh, God, that hurt. Hey, I'm so sorry, my girl. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're not stock anymore. Oh, God. And one more time. Oh, forgive me. Oof. Okay. Now that those are marked, we can take this off. We can drill out the holes for the well nuts, and we can also drill out the holes for the bottom mounting of the side skirt. Yikes. Okay. So, as you can see, these little painful nicks. Can it really? I don't think it can really focus. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna bore those out and also drill out the holes on the bottom. Who else remembers when I said I was gonna keep this car stock? I always like to use Downstar hardware, and it is essentially like using a riv nut, except these are called well nuts. The reason why I like these so much, and I also want to reiterate, I like these so much. I'm a big fan of these, not everybody is, but I like the fact that these can come in and out so easy, and I'm not actually like riv nutting something to my car. I could go a lot less invasive and just use a classic like rivet, and the benefit of that would be, one, I can do way smaller of a hole, and I don't need to punch like bullet holes into the side of the car. But my thought process is, and this isn't everyone's thought process, but this is my thought process. If I'm already gonna be putting little baby holes in this, the fender is already ruined. If you ever wanted to revert back to what it was before, you still have to get body work, and you'd have to fiberglass and Bondo the holes, repaint it, or just get a whole new fender in general. In that case, I just like to say, screw it, I'll go a little bit bigger and put in these well nuts, and now I can actually take it on and off, and I can use all sorts of different options with hardware. That's not everyone's thought process, but it is mine. And rivets, you don't really have that clean of a look. I use rivets on different applications for different things, but on something that I know that will maybe come off one day, or if I need to take the side skirt off, rather than boring out the rivets and redoing them, I now have the option to unbolt it on and off, which I see value in. And again, not everybody does. There are a ton of different ways to do this, but that's just how I like doing it. I like to pre-thread the walnuts on the back of the bolts when inserting it in. To me, it just makes it easier to put it on, and it makes tightening them down a little bit easier in my opinion. Just a little bit of love, poke them all through, and then we'll slowly start threading them in until they start to bite. And the trick is to not put too much pressure on them. Like, I'm not like pushing on this Allen key, I'm letting it thread and bite on its own. I think that's a big problem, is a lot of people like push really hard, and they like are pushing so hard that they're backing the well nut on the inside of the fender off a little bit, and the trick is to let it bite itself and just take your time when fastening them. Well, There we go, that is in the original spot. Now all we have to do is fasten the bottom. Now I decided that I'm actually just gonna use a self-tapper when putting them in the bottom. Now I don't always recommend doing this, but I don't have the exact hardware that I want to do for this right now, and I have to go out to the store to get it, and the hardware store that is open right now during quarantine hours is already closed. So we're not gonna be able to have that luxury to go today. So for the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use some self-tappers, which again, it is what it is. It's what we're gonna use right now. I have a handful of these little like hex bits self-tappers. Very, very small, not very intrusive. And I already drilled out the bottom of the little like side canards with little starter holes. So the holes are right there. So I'm gonna jack this car up a little bit higher and just get my impact gun and send these self-tappers into the underside of the side skirt. And there's plenty of negative space underneath it, so I'm not gonna be drilling into anything or damaging anything of the car. Before I get under the car, I'm not only using the jack, but I'm also using a jack stand just in case it fails. And we will do this very carefully. All right, that is very, very sturdy, and that is on there 100%. All right, here we go for the first look. Oh, that looks hot. I really, really like it. It makes the front end look very aggressive. In the rear, I agree, it could use a little something. I don't really know if there's anything out there at the moment, but it does complement how spicy the rear is. The rear end's all meaty, and the front looks a little bit dainty, and that definitely adds to it. That is sick. Now imagine if this car was like white or red or another color where the carbon fiber would really pop. It would look really, really good. But I think I have it going for me right now that we are going black on black, because I do think that some people run this with the rear wide body fenders, but because it's black on black, it's a little bit more subtle, and I feel like I pull it off really, really well. It just like flows. I don't know what it is that makes that so cool, but god damn, that is dope. Satisfied with how that turned out. Now we're gonna do this on the other side. All right, so we're gonna mount the next side now, and before we start drilling and marking our holes, I'm just making sure the placement is where we want it. Again, just on this side, we wanna make sure that the radius follows what the front wheel well looks like without it looking too off, and I'm going just shy, just a little bit of the inside wheel well on this plastic here. It almost looks like you actually know you couldn't. I was gonna say it almost looks like it's supposed to go a little bit farther here, but then when you open the door, it would probably hit, which is why there's a gap right there. One thing I wanna point out too is the fitment on this piece is really nice. It fits really, really well. But I think that is where I want it. I'm gonna check the other side and just make sure it looks the same before we start drilling. Also, during this whole entire install, I've been on Instagram Live for over an hour at this point. So if you're not following my Instagram, you're gonna be missing a lot of behind the scenes content on this virus quarantine times. I'll probably try to go live like maybe once a day for a little bit until I get bored of it. And I've also been going live with like a bunch of random people too, which has been kind of fun. So if you're not following my Instagram, you're screwing up. And you would have gotten a sneak peek to what we're doing if you were watching the live. They're definitely getting a behind the scenes treatment. There we have it. Oh, wow, that looks really good. Very, very happy with that. It was worth drilling holes in the fenders. It just looks really clean and gives the car a little bit more body style. One thing that I've always kind of liked about the Supra, but at the same time I always wish it had a little bit more of, was just a little bit more flair. It's a very bland looking car in the sense that without the bumper and the splitter and the side canards and the wing and stuff, it's a very plain body style car. There's no real edges, there's no real aero to the car. When you add aero on this car, it just goes a really long way. It's the flair that it's been missing. That looks so good. I'm just enjoying this right now with you guys. And that was super easy to do. Trying to make the most that I can during these quarantine times. I'm happy to report that this C8 should be going to Sheepy in the next 2 days, which is good. It's been really tough to start our build. Now that's one thing that's really been affected during this quarantine is we haven't been able to go to Sheepy because they're kind of working through, you know, their social distancing stuff, and we were supposed to start that a long time ago, but we haven't been able to due to all this stuff. And I would take that car out to get a better look, but it's pouring rain right now, and I don't want to take that thing out. It's like kind of clean at the moment, and I want to keep it that way. We also just re-added a bunch of stuff to the website. We always do floater numbers, which means we'll order a certain amount of product, and we'll always leave a small amount of that to the side when stuff sells out, in case there's any returns or we need to send something else out or whatever, stuff like that. And we have just re-updated the website with all the floaters that involve stuff that was already sold out. That's everything from our bomber jackets to the Supra pin, the 458 pin, our original red jet tags. We have the flags you guys sold out, the license plates that you guys sold out, the varsity sweatshirt, all that type of stuff. I could dig through here, but it's pretty much a lot of products that are sold out right now have just been re-updated, and they're back on the website, and there's very, very small numbers of that, maybe like 2 of every size or 2 of every item. So if you wanted to get anything by the time you're watching this video, you're probably good enough. Click the links and go to thehuntingcompany.com and look on the website, because things are updated and available for you guys to purchase again. It's funny because technically my Aventador is the safest car to drive home in the rain because it's my only car that is all-wheel drive. Maybe the highest horsepower. Well, actually, it's not the highest horsepower. Maybe one of the most highest horsepowers, but it's all-wheel drive, so it's the safest. I guess technically the truck would be the better car to drive home. That's probably the safest, but still, it's cool because all-wheel drive in the rain and safe reasons.